Alright everyone, we start off today with the announcement, of course, this weekend, it could be today, it could be tomorrow. Joe Biden's campaign swears he's staying in the race. Increasingly, a number of high-level Democrats are saying that's not a good idea. They can't necessarily compel him to leave, but we might be getting an announcement literally any time today or tomorrow, and it could be next week, in the prelude to the Democratic National Convention in August, that Joe Biden has resigned or dropped out or something like that. Nonetheless, no matter what decision is made, it's Joever. He's done. He's toast politically. He can't get reelected. If he runs, he'll lose. The Democrats are warning him about this. If he doesn't run, of course, he can't be reelected. The problem for the Democrats really boils down to whether to force him to simply stand down for reelection or to outright resign. Now, you can flip the ticket and you can have Kamala Harris running. She's the one that runs, and she probably would be, and then she chooses some other running mate, because, I mean, it can't be Joe. The problem is this. Let's say that Joe Biden continues in his capacity as president, but he uses medical incapacity as a reason why he's not running, which is the only way in which they could feasibly do that without ceding the election outright. And I don't know, I mean, they're acting so crazy, they might actually be nuts enough to do that too. Here's the problem. Wouldn't you ask yourself, if the dude isn't capable of running for re-election, is he capable of carrying out the office now? The answer is no. All roads lead to perdition for the Democrats right now. Here are your choices. Joe stays in, gets fucking slam-a-jammed. He probably even loses Virginia. He might lose New Hampshire or Minnesota at this point. There's an election landslide. The Democrats get hammered as a result of this. Now, down-ballot damage might be a little bit more limited, but you're not sure what Joe's going to do at the next debate, or if he decides not to show up, that's not going to look good to the public either. So that road leads to hell, probably. There's like a 99% chance. Let's say that you swap him. You know, he stands down, he continues on as caretaker president, but Kamala decides to run. Kamala fares even more poorly in polling. You've got the public asking the question of, why is Joe still there? Let's say that he outright resigns. He becomes the first president in U.S. history to resign other than under duress, which was Richard Nixon, of course, the one that apologized for the Internment Act that FDR minted, which is funny because of George Takei's comments the other day. Well, that road leads to hell as well. Now you've got a presidential resignation. Now the public's asking, well, why didn't he resign earlier? Because quite clearly he didn't just magically develop dementia overnight. It's a progressive sort of thing. Well, why were you circling wagons for him? And then you've got the open-ended question of who runs in such a case. Kamala becomes president. I guess she gains incumbency. That's good, I suppose, in a roundabout way. But all the problems continue. She gains additional baggage. She's no longer just having been VP. She's now the unelected first female president of the United States. And then you have the problem of the party containing a number of bigots, people who wouldn't want a black female as their president, as their commander-in-chief. I don't see a way out for the Democrats. This is why I'm predicting a 99% chance at this point that Trump wins re-election. It's not just about the polling at this point. His opponents are retarded. They painted themselves into a corner. All the ballot printers in the world aren't going to help you when you're down in states where you can't fortify the election. Too many of them for you to hit 270, especially with a candidate like Kamala Harris. Now, she is being listed effectively as the heir apparent at the moment. So if Joe Biden does decide to stand down, he is compelled to do so. Pelosi's no longer really for him. Barack Obama has expressed his hesitance towards such a ticket. Schumer appears to have flown the coop. Hakeem Jeffries won't defend him. You've got Schiff. All of the high-ranking Democrats, for the most part, don't want Joe Biden to run for re-election. And then there's the other problem. Let's say that he stubbornly decides to cling to it and does run. When he goes to the DNC, which probably will still be a thing, although that's up in the air too, they might decide to cancel their fucking convention. By the way, they're cursed. There's a reason why so many problems are happening because they chose Chicago. The Democrats should never hold another convention in Chicago again. Seems like a bad idea given 1968 and 2024. Your third time's probably not going to be a charm. You better have one hell of a candidate, and then I don't know, maybe they get a stroke on stage or something at this point. There are so many problems with their situation right now that I don't see how they can dig their way back out of it. They painted themselves into a corner by running Joe Biden in the first place. There were those of us who warned that Joe Biden was, he's getting up in years. He's not the man that he was in 2008 or something like that. He's not really well-spoken, and probably you don't want him as standard bearer. I thought that the Democrats would have been wise to go with Buttigieg. And I think he could have won in a fair matchup at that point because of lockdown damage against Donald Trump, by the way. You should have gone with somebody who is reasonably expected to be able to serve a second term. It's inexplicable, the decision-making process that went into choosing Joe Biden. Now, is really weird. Obama was all for him 4 years ago. Now he's saying, well, Joe kind of needs to reevaluate his odds of winning. Well, what a stunning endorsement that is. We've never seen this in modern politics, by the way. Parties typically solidify completely behind the candidate. Okay, you have a few TDS sufferers who won't endorse him. George W. stands down. Mitt Romney's not a fan. You got some problems there. But it was really limited. I remember, by the way, the legacy media rambling endlessly about Trump derangement syndrome, like the anti-Trump Republicans, as though it was the greatest thing in the world. They're definitely talking about this story with Joe Biden, and it's quite clear that he's lost the support of the legacy media too, which is even more damning than losing the support of your own party structure. But they're not making the same big deal about it as they did actually the anti-Trumpers, which is really, really funny. I was told that Donald Trump couldn't win because he insulted Ron DeSantis. He appears to be winning at the moment. I don't think that he's going to have any problems coasting to re-election pretty much no matter what the Democrats do. Because somehow the other option, which is not even running Kamala, is even worse. Because then you've alienated millions of people who genuinely did vote in the primaries for Joe Biden. It is Joever. He is done. He cannot win re-election. It's impossible at this point, feasibly. And if he stands down, he can't get re-elected because he's not running. It's just a matter of how much down-ballot damage the Democratic people in Congress can prevent from happening. At this point, it's only a metric of how much it is. It's not even a metric of if it exists or not. It's beginning to drag them, and that's why they flipped. Again, in my analysis, to be clear, this is not about Joe Biden. It's about the down-ballot races. They realize that Trump is very, very likely to be reelected, and they're trying to have enough seats in the House and or Senate so they can obstruct his agenda. That's literally all you're seeing right now. Do you think that they care that Joe Biden's demented? No, it doesn't matter. Other people can make the decisions. But if your figurehead is visibly demented, and this is why he probably is not allowed to run, Nancy will say, look, Joe, cut it out. That's not going to be good for the down-ballot races. Could even bleed over into the state races like mayorships and gubernatorial slots and shit like that. The Democrats don't want to have too many Republican governors because then they might start triggering a constitutional convention for gun rights or something like that. They're terrified. And watching it is absolutely lovely. That's about all. Peace out.